505-6009. That is our telephone number, 505-6009. As we continue here on the program. The UTEP volleyball team is in Pittsburgh, and they are gearing up for their big matchup tomorrow at 2 o'clock against Oklahoma. Excited about that. We had tried to get that game on the radio, but we were unsuccessful, unfortunately. Just couldn't make that happen. So the game will be seen exclusively on ESPN Plus from Pittsburgh. Miners trying to win their first ever trip to the NCAA tournament against the Oklahoma Sooners. And as I said earlier this week, there is good precedent on this. The first time the women's basketball team ever got into the NCAA tournament, they beat Western Kentucky convincingly. The first and only time the UTEP soccer team ever got into the NCAA tournament, they beat the University of Texas in Austin. So, Adrian, now we need history to repeat itself with another women's team and give Ben Wallace and the UTEP Miners an opportunity to get past the Sooners in their first ever trip to the NCAA tournament.
The wild thing, Steve, they actually have a really good chance on paper. I mean, I'm saying wild, knowing that it was a wild end of the season for this UTEP volleyball squad that had high expectations in the CUSA tournament, which they were hosting, and bowed out in the semifinal round. And it's wild that, they get an at-large bid, but actually have, on paper, a chance to beat this Oklahoma team right here, based on some of the other teams that UTEP has faced in non-conference play and stuff like that. So even though this is, not necessarily a senior-laden team right here for UTEP volleyball, they have experience in high-level situations, high-stake moments. I'm just ready for this game in Pittsburgh tomorrow, and I will be following this one throughout its match.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It is definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Sebastian, as you've been working at the Prospector and covering more and more UTEP sports, what have you seen so far from the UTEP volleyball team as they get ready for the big matchup in Pittsburgh tomorrow afternoon?
UTEP volleyball has been the highlight of UTEP sports without a doubt. Their incredible 27-5 overall record, their 16-2 conference record, the way in which they improved from last year, and simultaneously adding on the difference from Memorial Gym to Club Memorial has made UTEP volleyball what I'm arguing the pinnacle of minor sports. And yeah, the semifinal end was heartbreaking, but the fact that they got an at-large bid makes the Miners a team with nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that exact underdog mentality is what I think can push them through the line. The spirit is incredible. They have the whole community behind them, and they've got nothing to lose. If they bow out tomorrow, then they made UTEP history. If they keep going, then they further the history books. But they need to make sure that there's no pressure because they're not on a mission to amend what happened in CUSA. That already happened. What they need to focus on is just doing what got them the record and the recognition from the community throughout this entire season.
You want to talk about it with us, folks? We'd love to hear from you. 505-6009. That is our telephone number. By the way, Wayne Thornton has just arrived in Pittsburgh. How about that, guys? After 50 years, Wayne made it his mission to be there with the team in Pittsburgh to watch this game firsthand.
Man, that's the commitment to our great pal, Wayne Thornton. Looked great on TV last week, right, Steve? At the Sun Bowl Thanksgiving Parade as the Grand Marshal. Loved his interview, by the way, on KTSM. He did an excellent job. And, yeah, man, I'm happy that he went out to Pittsburgh. He's going to embrace the cold weather, but more importantly, he's going to embrace UTEP as a Cinderella story.
He sure is. That's a great way to describe it. It really, really is. Again, I'm excited for the women. I am super, ready for this program to take that next step. Well, they've already taken the next step. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, getting an at-large into the NCAA tournament is that was the missing piece. Now, I'll say this. We all know what kind of job Ben Wallace has done. But I got news for you. If the Miners knock off Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon, everybody in college volleyball will know the name Ben Wallace. as he's been with the job he's done with UTEP. So, you really want to put yourself on the map. Go out there and take care of a big, an SEC power in the first round of the tournament. And by the way, it's been, 5 years since Oklahoma has been in the NCAA tournament. I think 2019 was the last time that the Sooners have been there.
That's interesting in itself. So it's not like this is routine or business as usual for Oklahoma. They kind of feel like the new kids on the block as well. There'll be newness there. Maybe you just erase the seeds for both teams and you just watch for a good volleyball matchup tomorrow when it's all said and done.
That's right. That is right. 28 past the hour, 505-6009. That is our telephone number as we continue here on the show, 505-6009. Get you right on in and through. If you want to talk a little UTEP volleyball with us here on the show, we'd love to do that. You want to talk a little UTEP women's hoops. You want to talk a little UTEP sports, because think about this. We've got signing day that came yesterday, okay? Number one signing class in Conference USA for the Miners for the second straight year. So that happened. We've got the women playing BYU tonight. We've got the women's volleyball team playing for the first time ever in the NCAA tournament against Oklahoma tomorrow. We've got the men's basketball team going up against Seattle Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Adrian, seriously, with this university, there is like something for every team right now that's active and going on.
Yeah, and something every day, right? Because yesterday was signing day, today women's basketball, Saturday men's basketball, tomorrow volleyball. Something every single day for this university and this athletic department.
What are you looking forward to most? Are you looking forward to – you could say one of these great answers would be, you know what? I'm looking forward to the BYU game tonight.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Oklahoma game tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to the Seattle game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's also the funny thing is it's kind of like Rodney Terry over at Texas. 40 minutes at a time, one game at a time.
Yep.
Maybe we'll look forward to all these one game at a time, but it has to be the NCAA tournament, the volleyball team making it to this point. Anytime you have a banner year in any sport where you make the NCAA tournament, it deserves a ton of celebration here at UTEP. Unfortunately, unless you're talking track and field, individuals who are making it to nationals routinely, or cross country doing the same, indoor track and field doing the same, you don't talk about UTEP heading to a lot of NCAA tournaments year after year in sports. So for volleyball, it's a time to celebrate, and it's a time to focus attention to that team tomorrow, 2 o'clock start.
I'm with you on that one. Now, let me ask you this as we hit the bottom of the hour, and Sebastian will be joining us in a moment. Actually, you know what? I'll throw this at you right after SportsCenter. Let's get to Sebastian. I want to stay on time. We'll do that next as we continue live out here from Speaking Rock, where we're giving away UTEP tickets to Saturday's game against Seattle. You want to win the afternoon game? Come see us as we continue. But first, Sebastian with SportsCenter.
Thank you, Steve. Let's get into the headlines. Former offensive coordinator and Super Bowl champion Eric Bieniemy is out as the UCLA offensive coordinator. UCLA has fired its OC Eric Bieniemy only after one season with the former Chiefs assistant, which led the Bruins offense. Two people involved in the decision have reported. One of the sources has said that Indiana quarterbacks coach and co-offensive coordinator is expected to replace Bieniemy, though a deal has not yet been finalized. Moving on to the National Basketball Association, LeBron James is questionable to miss his first game of the year with a sore foot against the Atlanta Hawks. LeBron James is listed as questionable for the Lakers game, which takes place tomorrow against the Hawks, because of soreness in his left foot. And Austin Reeves will miss a fourth straight game because of a left pelvic contusion, the team announced today. James has played in all 22 games for the Los Angeles Lakers so far in his 22nd season. He's averaged 22.3 points, 9 assists, 7.9 rebounds, and 4.1 turnovers. He broke out of a shooting slump just yesterday against the Miami Heat, going 12 for 18 from the field, but the Lakers still continued their losing streak, getting dominated by Miami, 134-93. Staying on basketball, and possibly the biggest, but certainly one of the biggest UTEP events this upcoming weekend as UTEP hosting former foe BYU today at the Dawn. Coming off a win against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, Coach Keitha Adams looks to add on to her legacy as the winningest coach in program history. That's your SportsCenter update. I'm Sebastian Perez Navarro.
All right, Sebastian, thank you very much. So here's the question I'm going to pose to the two of you, and it's an interesting one, okay? And that is, if you're a UTEP volleyball fan, does just the fact that they got in as an at-large selection for the first time ever to the NCAA tournament, does the results tomorrow against Oklahoma matter that much? Or is the accomplishment really the fact that, hey, they're in, win or lose, they got in to the NCAA tournament? Now, if you ask me, to really help solidify and justify their at-large status, I want to see them beat a 10-loss Oklahoma team tomorrow. That's how I would answer this question. I would say absolutely it matters. The fact that they're in right now is great, but I'm not just calling this and saying, hey, the season's a success no matter what. Although you got to say it will be, even if they lose to Oklahoma tomorrow. But to me, I want to see them go out, play Oklahoma tough, beat the Sooners, and show everybody in the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee this team deserved the chance to be that at-large pick.
Steve, I can agree with you on the sentiment that it would be terrible to see UTEP be dominated by the Sooners, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree and say that the season's already a success. History has been made for the University of Texas at El Paso. They got national recognition, something in which this program, through all sports, receives little of. And the fact that they got that recognition already sets a future precedent that maybe if the program continues to grow throughout any sport, then this won't become a norm, but it'll definitely happen more often than it has in the past couple of years. And maybe more programs will accomplish their first. Obviously, if they could put up a fight against the Sooners, it's amazing. Whether win or lose, this season is a success, but it could be a little bit sweeter if they play the Sooners tough, if they play the Sooners close, and even if that is a loss, have it on your resume that you went toe-to-toe with an SEC institution.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. I'm looking right now, so Oklahoma lost this year to TCU. They lost to UC Santa Barbara, were swept 0-3 to UC Santa Barbara. They lost to Florida. They lost to Kentucky. They lost to Arkansas. Let's see what else I have here for them. Just looking at their records. They lost to LSU, South Carolina, Missouri, A&M, Texas, and now they're at UTEP. And by the way, they didn't just lose. Texas swept them. A&M swept them. They lost 3-1 to South Carolina. Same to LSU. Same to Arkansas. They got one set against those teams. Now, and they were swept by Santa Barbara. So the question then begs, how good is Oklahoma? I mean, they won some games in conference, but for the most part, the SEC did a number on them, but they still got in as an at-large.
So, yeah, that's a good one, right? Because I feel like that's why, on paper, the Miners going into this matchup right here, Steve, should have a good chance to compete, maybe even win when it's all said and done. And I hold this team to a high standard, right? They came to us in our studios throughout the season saying that they have high goals, high expectations for this program. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and say it. Who knows how many schools out there could pursue Ben Wallace, during this offseason. And I'm not trying to ship him out of El Paso by any means. El Paso needs him for what he's done for the volleyball community here at UTEP. But the reality is there could be other programs who see, hey, look at how he built this one over at UTEP, where they were nothing, and put him as a winner, developed a beach volleyball program, and helped pioneer a lot of things for this program. So got to win now. You go year to year in college athletics, regardless of the sport. You got to win now and take kind of rid the bad taste of your mouth that you had in that New Mexico State loss for the CUSA semifinals.
Now, they were 8-8 in the conference, and they were 3-5 at home. So, they didn't play that many matches. It's so funny. I'm looking, UTEP played a total of 32 matches, and they were 27-5. 32 matches. Oklahoma played 24 total matches, and they were 14-10. And they were 500 in the SEC. In fact, Missouri, Florida, A&M, Kentucky, and Texas are all higher than them in the SEC. So it will be interesting to see how the Miners fare. LSU, by the way, was just 15-12. They beat Oklahoma pretty convincingly. Look, I think the Miners match up well. Obviously, if they have to play Pittsburgh in the second go-around, that's going to be a nearly impossible task because they're 29-1, and they have the number one overall KPI in all of college volleyball. So whoever gets past this, assuming Pittsburgh wins their first-round matchup, but they are, that's going to be, especially there, almost an impossible task. But I absolutely agree with you. I think the Miners can hang and beat Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon in the first round, assuming they come into that one with that nothing to lose, everything to gain mentality, and don't allow the aura of playing in the NCAA tournament thousands of miles away from El Paso to really get to them, which I don't think they're going to. I really don't. 38 past the hour as we continue with Sports Talk Live out here from the main bar at Speaking Rock, 122 South El Pueblo Road. Come on down and see us. We're with you till kickoff tonight. Let's go to Chuco. We'll take Chuco, then we'll go to break. As we continue, hey, Chuco, thanks for the call. How are you?
Steve, doing great. How are you doing?
Doing fine. Thanks, Chuco. Appreciate that.
So, about tomorrow's game, I really think that the team is going to come out strong because I don't think they ended the season the way they wanted to. I really think that internally that loss to NMSU really left a sour taste in their mouths, and somehow they're going to come out and, definitely represent. I don't want to jinx anyone and come out, with a result, but somehow I really do think that, everything is just coming together for them, and, they should definitely have a great game tomorrow.
So, in your mind, again, we don't know. We can't look into the future, but do you expect the Miners to win tomorrow, Chuco, or do you think they're going to play Oklahoma tough and, you know what, it's going to be anybody's match?
So, let's be honest, Oklahoma's record, they're losing to some quality programs, so we shouldn't take that 18-10 record, to heart. They're going to be a strong team, but UTEP has a strong team. Yes, granted, we haven't played that level of competition, but we have, when we have gone out, we've come out very strong and dominant, and that's the team that I really think will come out tomorrow and show up. So, in my heart, I really do think that Coach Wallace has them ready. I'm a little worried about, the amount of time that's passed by since their last game, but Wallace, he knows what he's doing, and the women that we have on this team, I really do think that loss to New Mexico State really left them with, hey, wait a second, that's not the way it was supposed to end, but we've been given another chance here to finish what we've started.
I think that is a great, great way to look at it, and I'm with you on that one. I do. I feel like they're going to come in with something to prove. Good job, Chuco. Appreciate the call. 41 past the hour. As Sports Talk continues. You want to follow that up? 505-6009. UTEP basketball tonight. The women play BYU at the Haskins Center. The volleyball match tomorrow in the NCAA tournament, 2 o'clock against Oklahoma. The men play hoops, 2 o'clock on Saturday as they get ready for a big one themselves against Seattle. So much to talk about as Sports Talk continues live out here at Speaking Rock. 20 minutes from now, we'll talk to Paramount Sports' Lee Sterling on the 600 ESPN El Paso Longhorn Distributing Hotline. It's all coming up as we roll on. Here on Sports Talk, coming your way live from Speaking Rock. It is our home every single Thursday as we get ready for Thursday night football. Going to be a good one tonight, too. Really good one with The Green Bay Packers visiting the Detroit Lions. Hey, this Monday night, Cowboys-Bengals, Cowboys tailgate party will happen here out at Speaking Rock. So check it out. Tonight, if you love mariachis, I've got good news for you. Mariachi Esencia de Mexico will be here. It is a free 21 and up show, and it is going to be happening here for everybody that's 21 and over. Mariachi for our Mariachi Nights is how they're describing it. Tomorrow it will be Sonora Blue. That is a free event as well. And then this Saturday, how about this? Boot Scootin' Saturday here with the Borderland Country Dancers. Dance lessons with Lisa and Hugo. That's from 7:30 to 9 o'clock here at Speaking Rock with Boot Scootin' Saturday. Country dancing going on from 9 to 11. By the way, I'll be the first to tell you this, Adrian. I have tried line dancing. My wife is very good at it. She's just a natural dancer to begin with. I am just a work in progress. Line dancing to me is something that seems so easy. Like when I watch people do it, I'm like, man, they look like they're naturals, and I just feel so awkward. So this could be the perfect thing for me. Go see Lisa and Hugo Saturday, get some dance lessons, learn how to country dance, and be ready to go at 9 o'clock.
You know, I just went to a very East Texas type of wedding, Steve, and I was in a similar predicament. My wife is a dancer. She performs, and she also teaches dance. And so she was able to coach me up through half of it, but I was trying to get through I could use this event as well, Steve. That's what I was trying to get at. I need this one myself so I can start line dancing, go off to all these different places across town, and at least hang in there instead of looking terrible.
See, I feel like because your wife is a dance teacher, you have a built-in advantage. Although, has she offered to try and help you out, or are you selling yourself short and you have much more dancing ability than you've let on here?
I think I'm a lost cause, like the opposite end of this. I'm a lost cause. There's probably not a lot gonna fix all the problems that I bring to the table.
Now, then let's shift it over. Then in that case, we're going to go from two lost causes to Rob, who wants to talk some football with us as we continue here. 505-6009. Rob, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, Steve. How about you?
Doing well. Appreciate it.
All right. I wanted to call because I wanted to wait, for us to get at least more than halfway through the NFL season. Because I had called in the summer and basically told Adrian and Alberto that I thought the Russ Wilson pickup by Pittsburgh was great because they were only paying him $1 million. And I didn't think that he was that bad in Denver. He was okay, just wasn't a good fit. But I just thought that Pittsburgh made a great move. And, they laughed me out of the room and told me I'm crazy. And, I think I deserve an apology for that take. But with that being said, I think it was a win for both sides. Nobody saw the Broncos coming. With all the cap hell that Russell Wilson put him in, the sixth quarterback taken in the draft with Bo Nix and kind of some uncertainty with their defense, and they've built the defense. Bo Nix is coming along, and all these rookie receivers and running backs they have are starting to come along. And Pittsburgh was always just a decent quarterback away from taking that next step, which I think they have. And I feel like that move was kind of a win for both sides, and that's rare when you see that. The only other thing I could think of is golf to Detroit, because Detroit got the guy they wanted. The Rams got a Super Bowl out of Stafford, so it's rare when you get both sides to win. And as far as like the status of the AFC, you got your big 3 or 4. I just think the teams that you can't sleep on, because it's the playoffs and anything could happen. But I just think the Chargers and Broncos. I only say that because what you need great defense. They got it. You need good quarterback play. They got it. And you need a high-level coaching staff with a coach that knows what he's doing. And Peyton and Jim Harbaugh are some of the best in the game. And I think you'd be foolish to think that we're going to see a Buffalo-Kansas City game, for sure. I think it's very possible one of those teams could slip up, seeing how good Pittsburgh, LA's, and Denver's defense have been playing. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take right now on the AFC.
Rob, it's an amazing take. I think you are absolutely right on, and definitely something we'll be talking about in hour number 2 after Lee Sterling. Great job, as we appreciate you. Coming back with the aforementioned Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Stay with us. We're live out here at Speaking Rock. Sports Talk coming your way live from Speaking Rock, where we are here at the main bar every Thursday. Excited about that. Hey, we're excited about all the things that are going to be happening out here at the Rock. Whether it's Mariachi Esencia de Mexico coming up at 7 tonight. We've got the Cowboy Tailgate Party coming up this Monday for the Bengals game. That's big. Sonora Blue is 8 o'clock here. Those are all free shows. And we've told you a little bit about that here on the program. All right. We've got Sebastian Perez Nevado. We've got the aforementioned Adrian Broadus. And now we've got the man who not only joins us every week from ParamountSports.com, but if you missed it, he held the 17th annual Thanksgiving Pie Bake-Off about a week ago here at the Sterling House. I'm talking about the one and only Lee Sterling. Lee, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Got to take off about 4 pounds, but I think it can be accomplished. It was worth it.
By the way, I watched the video of the family, okay?
Yeah.
And it was weird because when you ate the apple pie that one of your daughters baked, you didn't show a lot of emotion, but you very, very quietly called it one of the best apple pies you've ever tasted.
Yeah.
And then you dug into that huckleberry pie, and you all of a sudden gave this emphatic fist pump with the huckleberry pie wins, and I heard screaming in the background as the video cut off. So was there controversy with the Sterling daughters after the win?
People are excited. We nicknamed it the Huck. The Huck. So that's what we call huckleberry pie now. I think my oldest daughter's going to go back to banana cream pie. I mean, also the apple pie kind of stuck to the roof of my mouth too. So
well, then,
tasted great, but
then it can't be one of the best apple pies you've ever tasted if it's stuck to the roof of your mouth.
But it got stuck. Just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
it was weird. It tasted great, but I'm like, I can't really talk that well. So, sometimes if I was sitting down, maybe at a table, wouldn't have gotten stuck. So, one of those weird things. I usually don't eat apple pie standing up.
Was this the best huckleberry pie you've ever had? Because you've had plenty of them before, but was this the best of the best?
It was the best of the best. So, I heard that my daughter was my youngest, who made the huckleberry pie, was calling each place that she had the huckleberry shipped from, and she was going through a screening process. So,
Now wait a minute. Which is the daughters that sing the national anthem?
She's the younger one. Lives in New York City. She makes the huckleberry pie.
Oh, okay. So she sings the national anthem.
The oldest one, who's getting married in July, usually makes the banana cream pie, made the apple pie.
Did the eldest agree with you during the meal that her sister's huckleberry was truly the best pie in the house?
She did, actually. She did later on. So I don't know if you know this. So back in the day when they were young, I think they started when they were like 6 and 8 years old. The oldest one, if she lost, she wouldn't talk to me for probably at least 24 hours when she lost. The youngest one would go upstairs and cry, sometimes for an hour, hour and a half. So they now laugh it off, and we just have a good time with it.
Oh, my God.
So they've grown up.
Listen to me. You emotionally scarred your kids over this pie contest for years.
Well, I first told them, I tried the first year. I said it's a tie, and they know how we are. We're competitive as Sterling. So, they're like, no, it has to be a winner. So,
well, good. Winner. At least you got a winner this time around, and congratulations to the Huck Par for the win. All right. Championship Saturday. We got 4 championship games, and then we've got an NFL game. Let's dig right in and start it off with the Big Ten Championship. 11-1 Penn State visiting 12-0 Oregon. And the line has not shifted from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Oregon, Lee, will kick it off. 3.5-point favorites over Penn State.
I think these Penn State kids were just shocked when they got in. I mean, it had to probably take them 12 to 24 hours. I mean, no one saw Michigan winning that game. So we know James Franklin, 1-16 straight up, 5-12 against the spread versus top 5 opponents, can't be discounted. But I think Penn State's playing with house money. They were going to be ranked 5th or 6th if they weren't in the Big Ten championship game. If they lose the game, unless they get totally blown out, I think they're going to be seeded 5th or 6th. So they got nothing to lose. Oregon's got to fly cross country. Last time they ended up flying cross country against Wisconsin. Didn't go well. Barely won the game. They may not play as bad as that, but I mean, these trips traveling cross country, teams are winning in the Big Ten. When they got to go through at least 2 time zones, only 35% of the time against the spread. I just think that Penn State, everything except for passing offense, they own the edges here. So I'm going to take Penn State here. This line should be 1.5. I think the Ducks are out of water in Indianapolis. Wrong team favored. Penn State outright 27-23.
Wow, what a shocker that would be. If that happens, that's going to send...
and they could be the number 1 or number 2 seed. Is that crazy?
It is. Well, yeah, that is. Well, listen, if Oregon loses to Penn State could be your number 1 seed going into the whole thing.
Right.
But I guess it all depends on how Texas does, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Here's another crazy fact. Another crazy fact. All 4 winners could have possibly not have been in that conference last year. If SMU, Arizona State, Texas, and Oregon win, we'd have 4 winners that weren't even in the conference last year.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the ACC championship. It's number 17 Clemson at 9-3, going up against number 8 SMU at 11-1. This game is going to be closer to Clemson than it is to SMU. Yep. It's in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, but SMU a 2-point. Do you want to play 2 or 2.5, Lee? What do you want to play?
Let's play 2.5. And
got it.
Okay, Clemson. I mean, it's a 2 hours drive from Clemson to Charlotte, so they're going to bring 45,000, 50,000 fans. I mean, they're going to come in droves. Here's the problem: Kate Klubnik, last 4 games against Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and South Carolina, all average to above average teams. He's only averaged 6 yards per pass attempt. That's, if you spread it out over the course of the season, bottom 15. And that's with teams like that'll put them in the area with teams ranked like Rice, Sam Houston State, and UConn. Kevin Jennings, quarterback for SMU, not only has he won all 9 of his last 9 starts this year, averaged 9.3 yards per pass attempt, which put him top 10, and they've scored at least 28 to 66 points in every game. Even their defense is coming on. The last 2 games against Virginia and Cal, I like SMU. The right team is favored here, 28-24.
Next up, it's going to be the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Now, these 2 teams are both not near the state of Texas. We've got number 16 Iowa State at 10-2 and number 15 Arizona State at 10-2. Yet ASU, the 2-point favorite in this one over Iowa State. How do you see it, Lee?
Yeah, if Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver for Arizona, is playing, this would make it tougher. He caught 75 balls for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Big loss. The Iowa State team had to play the last 6 games in either the state of Iowa or Kansas City against Kansas and at Utah. All 6 cold weather games here. So I think they're going to be excited to play in controlled environment of AT&T Stadium. I think they've regained their mojo from early in the season. Their strength is throwing the football. Rocco Beck, he is going to be going against the Arizona State 75th rated pass defense. And I love both their receivers. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, 80 and 67 catches for a combined 15 touchdowns. I think they're going to do some big damage here, and Iowa State's only been a dog one time all season against Iowa. They won the game outright here. I like Iowa State here, 30-26. Wrong team favorite.
All right. Last but certainly not least in college, we've got the SEC championship between number 5 Georgia and number 2 Texas. Longhorns are 11-1. Bulldogs are 10-2. The game is going to essentially be in Georgia's backyard, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So it's a road game for Texas, and yet the Longhorns 2.5-point favorites in this one.
Texas was out physical first game by Georgia. They were punched, and they didn't punch back. I don't see the Bulldogs bullying the Longhorns in this game, especially after watching Texas dominate Texas A&M last week. I think they have figured it out. That score should have been 30-0, 35-3. The 17-7 final is very misleading. Even Georgia should have lost to Georgia Tech. Scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3+ minutes to take that game to overtime and win it in 8 overtimes. I mean, you look at Georgia, they just don't pass the eye test. They are not even close to the teams that won national championships. And top of that, they're not ranked. I can't remember a year where neither their offense or their defense was ranked in the top 25 in any major statistical category. I think Texas is going to expand the use of Arch Manning in this game. We know that Quinn Ewers is not 100%. Last week he was in there. He ran 3 times for 14 yards and a touchdown. I think they're going to show a bunch of more wrinkles. He could end up playing 20-25% of this game here. And the favorite, 25-6 straight up in SEC championship games. Other than home field here, I don't see Georgia with any edge here. Texas, they get their revenge, 31-21.
Hey, let's be honest. Georgia should have lost to Georgia Tech last week in that unbelievable 8 overtime classic.
The line, if that happens and Texas wins by 20, 30 points, this line would be sitting at 6.
Yep, that's true. All right, one NFL game to get to. It's a Sunday night game. It's the 8-4 Chargers visiting the 11-1 Chiefs out there at Arrowhead in Kansas City. No snow predicted, so it's going to be a nice, comfortable 53 degrees. A kickoff, KC, 4-point favorites. Every game the Chiefs are in is a close one. You got to figure this is going to be the same, Lee.
Yep, so the Chargers are not the same without running back J.K. Dobbins. They do have a more physical style under Jim Harbaugh, but the Chiefs don't get enough credit for their run-heavy sets. I think the Chiefs are going to run the football and use the run to set up the pass here with Pacheco back here. Also, the Chargers are playing the second straight road game. They played 2 consecutive road games twice this season, losing the back end each time. The first time to the Steelers, Week 3. Second time to the Cardinals in Week 7 here. I just thought Kirk Cousins just gift-wrapped the game last week. Something's wrong with Kirk Cousins. I think he might have a dead arm, which happens to quarterbacks sometimes during the middle of the season. So those 4 interceptions just gave him the game here. I know the Chiefs don't win by much too often, but I think this is going to be the outlier. They're finally as healthy as they've been on offense a long, long time. I'm going to lay the points 3.5. I think they win this game 24-17.
All right. That takes us to what you've got going on right now at ParamountSports.com. Double down December, Lee. Double down December, because that's where we are. We're in the month of December, and you've been rolling, man. 70-27 on your max unit selections, and even your best bets, your 35 units. You've got a 21-9 record, so it has been a good run, and you're going to want to keep that going for everybody here in the month of December.
Yeah, we had a couple tough couple of weeks in November, but boy, did we bounce back, starting with Thanksgiving Day. Since Thanksgiving Day through Monday night, 15-3 record. So anyone wants to hop on board, all they need to do is go to ParamountSports.com. You can get every game from tonight all the way through December 31st. Just $247 if you use coupon code SAVE200. We have never offered it that cheap, so you want to hop on board, do that. Also, we've got a game of the week. How about this? Detroit and Green Bay tonight. rarely do we give away a Thursday night as big as this. So anyone wants to hop on board, just go to ParamountSports.com, use coupon code SAVE200, get every single game through December 31st for $247. And how about this? Through the Super Bowl, mid-February, this is the best bet here, and you save the most. Use coupon code SAVE300, $347 through the Super Bowl. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Enjoyed it as always, Lee. We'll look forward to getting you back next week. Enjoy the games, and as always, thanks for the time.
Sounds good. Take care.
Lee Sterling, folks, as we continue. All right, we got more coming up in our 5 o'clock hour, but first, here's Charlie One with his traffic update. Yeah, the Bill Belichick to North Carolina story is shocking. I mean, that is just one of those things you would never expect, ever expect. Guy's 72. In fact, how old is Mac Brown, who's retiring
73.
from North Carolina? Oh, my God, they're like a year apart.
I know.
Yeah, that would be just weird.
Steve, this one right there, I mean, a team who could qualify for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, could you imagine in the future, like not maybe this year, but in the future, seeing Bill Belichick at the Sun Bowl?
No, I can't. But I guess, hey, if you want to make a splash, go bring Bill Belichick on board, right?
Everybody will be watching you. Everybody will want to see what's going on. They have the money to do so. They're still a big program. They can throw all that money over to Bill Belichick's way. And for Bill Belichick living in Chapel Hill, I've been to Chapel Hill. I love Chapel Hill. It's beautiful, man.
But you know what else is weird? And this is weird, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. He has never coached in college football. Let me repeat that. Bill Belichick has never coached in college football. His first ever job as a coach was a special assistant to the Baltimore Colts in 75. Then he was an assistant special teams coordinator with the Lions in 76 and became their wide receivers and tight ends coach in 77 before moving to the defense in Denver in 78 and then the Giants in 79. So this is interesting. I mean, you're 72 years old, and you're going into college football for the first time ever. Like, that is just, I don't know. I mean, Herm Edwards tried it. How'd that work out for Herm? I guess it was fun initially. And plus, do you really want, I mean, if you're Bill Belichick, do you want to have to deal with the transfer portal and NIL?
I know. Like, I'm just thinking about all the things. He's also somebody who's, like, pretty cutthroat, Steve. Like, this is the kind of guy who he doesn't care if they're a first-round draft pick or whatever. He'll cut them. He'll, like, on the NFL football roster. You know, he doesn't care about somebody going in the top 3 rounds. He won't play a player unless they're actually ready to go. But somebody who's obsessed with football, that could definitely be Bill Belichick. Can he keep up in today's NIL collective world? Maybe he'll have to use like a consultant like Nick Saban, his good friend.
I thought you were going to say like his new girlfriend, the former cheerleader,
who could help out. Maybe appeal to some of these younger players. I don't know.
I mean, this is even more fascinating than the breakdown of the Huckleberry Pie versus the apple pie at the Sterling household for Thanksgiving.
And that was pretty intriguing right there. But that just tells you Bill Belichick to play, coaching college football. What if this, here's my theory. What if this story right here is more about Bill Belichick being in conversations again versus him going to North Carolina? Like, I feel like with all these head coaching vacancies in the NFL, the only one that I'm able to pinpoint for Bill Belichick is like Jacksonville right now that makes sense. The other ones, the other openings in the Jets, in the Bears, those don't really make sense for Bill Belichick.
Oh, you're right. But according to sources, they said that there is genuine interest in both sides.
Yeah. It seems like North Carolina, I mean, they interviewed him, right? They pursued him, right? So this is pretty interesting right here.
I'm just wondering, like, all of our normal guys, like you think about Brett McMurphy and all the college guys. Like, I wonder if they're actually weighing in on this particular story. I know McMurphy used the Inside Carolina report, but God, I'm so interested to hear what other veteran college guys, what their take would be. I mean, let's get what Augustine's take is. He's a diehard Patriots fan. He knows Belichick as well as anybody. Could you actually see your former head coach on the sidelines at the University of North Carolina, Augustine?
No, I want to see him at UTEP. I want to see Bill Belichick at UTEP. And can you imagine the talent that would want to play for Bill Belichick, and the guarantee that you would have to play at the next level?
Well, listen, that's not happening. Okay, you're not getting Bill Belichick at UTEP. You are in a full year 2 with the Scotty Walden experiment, and they've had their second straight year of having the top recruiting class in Conference USA. So let's just end the Bill Belichick to UTEP discussion, since it will never even start. But let's give real thought to North Carolina, because you know what? This could happen. This could be in play.
Now, Steve, how much does somebody like Bill Belichick command? I mean, his salary might be, even more than Saban when he was at Alabama, I think?
No. I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. He's 72. He's out of the game. I don't feel like, that'll happen. I will say this, okay? Mac Brown has a $900,000 base with a boosted $3.3 million in supplemental compensation, which takes him to about 4.2, okay? And Brown was, I think, making like $5 million total. He was the 42nd highest paid coach in college football. You want to know something? I could see that. I could see them giving Bill Belichick Mac Brown money. Maybe he makes $5 million a year coaching. That's probably more realistic to me. What about you, Adrian? What do you think?
I think that the money and the figures will look like Jimbo Fisher, not like Mac Brown. They're going to be astronomical if Bill Belichick goes to any college. It's the brand that Belichick brings. 6 Super Bowl rings to any university, any institution. He can coach at Harvard and he'll make that kind of money.
And here's the thing, Steve.
Yes.
It's not just Bill Belichick. It's the kind of team that he can build around him, the kind of assistant head coach he can have around him. That's really going to make them make it or break it, because he can command. He can have anybody at his disposal come in and coach with him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the big thing.
It could be an all-star. It could be an all-star group. I agree with that. So you're on board. If you're in North Carolina, would you say absolutely? Let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen. Let's get Bill Belichick to and truthfully, Steve, do you think he would make any coaching, or he would assemble a team of coaches that actually does it for him?
I would say more B than A. I mean, I feel like he would put a really good group together. He would be a good CEO, and that's probably at this stage what it would be. I mean, I doubt you're going to see him call plays more as just put everything in place and be on the sidelines and make sure it's running right.
Yeah, that's the thing. And if he makes North Carolina national champions, he cements his place as the greatest all-time football coach.
All right, it could be greatest all-time football coach, which most people thought he already was until Tom Brady left. And then it changed the narrative. Good job, Augustine. Appreciate it. As we hit 32 past the hour, we'll come back with more in a moment. But first, Sebastian standing by with one last bottom of the hour Sports Center update. Appreciate that, Sebastian, as we continue 34 now past the hour. All right, so, look, the Bill Belichick to North Carolina story is fun. Maybe it happens. If it does, we'll definitely have a lot of time to talk about that. But let's talk about a story that we know is happening, because it broke this morning, and it's a big one, folks. Mac Leftwich finalizing a 3-year deal to become the next offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. Now, this is a huge story, okay? First off, at Texas State, he has led them to a pair of top 15 offenses over the last 2 years. He's only 30 years old. He's less than 10 years removed being here at UTEP as quarterback. So Mac Leftwich, who, by the way, was forced to retire as a UTEP quarterback due to concussions that he suffered playing for the Miners, has had a great meteoric rise as a offensive coach and an OC. And now, 3-year deal to run the offense at Texas Tech. Adrian, this is fascinating for so many reasons. But let's start with this time a year ago. Before Scotty Walden was hired and Jim Center was looking for UTEP's next head coach, we heard rumblings that Mac Leftwich was interested in the UTEP job. He wanted to come back, but he was only 29, and he had only 1 year of OC experience at Texas State. So Mac did not get an interview. Instead, he goes back to Texas State, has another terrific offensive season, and now has springboarded himself into a terrific opportunity in Lubbock with the Red Raiders.
You know, I'm just, first off, a year ago, yes, Mac Leftwich was in these discussions. And I think the consensus at the time around here, even by people like us, was that he was just so brilliant in what he was doing. His ascension was remarkable, right? He went over to Incarnate Word, saw that team go far in the FCS playoffs as he was the offensive coordinator. But he didn't start as an OC over there. He was a GA, graduate assistant, moved up to quarterbacks coach, then starts calling plays for them as the OC. He moved with G.J. Kinney to Texas State and saw them lead things over there. Last year, I felt like things were looking a lot better for Texas State to close out the year than this past season, yet Leftwich still gets a job at Texas Tech. What does that say about him? It says that he's doing things right. It says that his ascension, he's only 30 years old. This was somebody, Steve, I'm looking at our pick or pass article. Most of us passed on him, Mac Leftwich, as UTEP's head coach, which is understandable. He's 28, going to be 29 that year. This upcoming offseason right here, 30 years old, going to be the offensive coordinator for Texas Tech. Imagine where he could be next year. He could be a head coach realistically.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So that if he does well, which you know it's probably going to happen, he will be a head coach. I mean, I feel like that's a lock. That's a guarantee. Did any of us pick Mac Leftwich in the pick or pass category last year?
Okay, I had to scroll all the way down. You put pass. Zay put pass. I was the only one who put pick.
Wow. You picked him, huh?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't take a lot of credit. I think I was picking with my heart, not with my mind there. So,
what'd you say about him?
I said that this is somebody who's only 29 years old, but imagine him coming to his alma mater to coach at UTEP. That was one of the reasons why I felt like he had so much interest initially on his side for the UTEP job last year. But you know what? Things work out for a reason and shook out for the good side for both parties. And Leftwich now gets to coach in the Big 12 at only 30 years old. I mean, that's really cool. That's a great story right there.
Why did I say pass? What came out of my brilliant mouth when it came to that one?
You said Mac is so young that it feels like just yesterday he was playing quarterback for UTEP. Fast forward to 2023, his Texas State Bobcats were one of the most electric offenses in college football. Prior to Texas State, Leftwich was at Incarnate Word from 2019 to 2022. He last spent 3 seasons at Incarnate Word as the quarterback's coach and 2 as offensive coordinator. He also spent 1 year in Kyle, Texas, working as the offensive coordinator and quarterback's coach. I think it won't be long before Leftwich gets a chance to become a college head coach. If this was 3 years from now, I would vote pick. But 29 is so young for a job like this. I just want to see Mac get a little more seasoning.
I think that's fair. And look what's happening. A year later, he's now going to Lubbock. And that's exactly what's happening with him. Although, I will say this. He didn't get an interview last year maybe that should have happened. Don't you think that it would have been interesting to see if the UTEP brass would have sat down with Mac, what that would have been like as far as just the interview process?
Right. We heard some of the rumored names to actually be in the process along with Walden last year. It was guys like Zach Kitley, who becomes the Florida Atlantic head coach this offseason. It was guys like Jeff Grimes, guys like Jeff Banks, even, reportedly, Brendan Marion. So all these other guys, and you wonder, well, where was Mac Leftwich? I understand why they didn't interview him. I get it. I think that could have given Mac Leftwich some good interviewing experience if he was one of those selected members, and also to keep his name in the pipeline. What if Scotty Walden, catapults himself in the next 3 to 5 years? Well, what happens with Mac Leftwich in the next 5 years or so? And you have those interviews now or earlier in the process to maybe see what happens in the future.
That's very true. That is very true. Well, anyway, I enjoyed that story in a big way, and I am so excited for Mac to see what he can do with Texas Tech. I think it's a great storyline to keep an eye on, and good for him. Just goes to show you that you get into a good system with a good coaching staff, big things happen to you, and that seems to be right now the storyline with Mac Leftwich. I mean, you look at his trajectory, absolutely on the way up. And who knows, Adrian, you never know if in a couple of years Mac Leftwich is a candidate for a UTEP job if this job opens up again, regardless of how things shake out with Scotty, or if he springboards Tech to an even bigger opportunity than UTEP.
Could happen, man. I mean, he's kind of known as like the quarterback whisperer as a quarterback's coach, as a play caller, OC, whatever you want to say. He's known as that kind of guy. And Joey McGuire, he wants to surround himself with solid coaches all around him. Zach Kitley, like we just mentioned, he's going to be the next head coach for Florida Atlantic. He called plays for Texas Tech this past season. You also look at somebody else who is a finalist for the head coaching job at UTEP. Coach Perry out there for Texas Tech, who's like the associate head coach of that team. My point being, this Texas Tech coaching staff, they know what they're doing. And I feel like with Mac Leftwich there, they're going to attract some high-level quarterbacks who could end up playing under Mac Leftwich when it's all said and done.
I don't know if we reported this or not, but Kitley did interview for the UTEP job.
Yes, he did.
And apparently impressed a lot of people, is what I heard. So you know what? Now he's at FAU, making a good opportunity for himself to now become one of the better young coaches in the game. So, a lot of moves around the college football world as we continue. 18 in front of 6, we'll come back live out here at Speaking Rock. Mario, did we give away our tickets to UTEP, or do we still have them? We've got them. We're going to be giving those away here in the next 20 minutes as we wrap things up. If you want to go see the Miners Saturday against Seattle, come down. You still have time. As we get you ready for kickoff for Green Bay and Detroit, it's coming up right here on 600 ESPN El Paso. To South Old Pueblo Road, our home, each and every Thursday for Sports Talk Live. 505-6009, that is our telephone number, 505-6009 as we continue. How about Luis Severino to the Sacramento A's? $67 million. By the way, this is really weird, okay? Let me tell you what's weird about this. This is the largest contract in A's franchise history. I mean, we're talking about $600 to $700 million for Juan Soto wherever he decides to end up, guys. And you're telling me that in the history of the Oakland A's franchise, they have never given a player more than $67 million?
Very, very depressing, man. There's a reason why Oakland fans are so bitter. There's a reason why A's fans in general are so bitter. They never spend money. They don't spend money. And, the excuse, I'm reading the article, and I'm, seeing the excuse of them playing in Sacramento. I get it. But, look, it didn't take the Sacramento Kings a lot to, think about investing in De'Aaron Fox. they're spending $71 million. Domantas Sabonis makes $180 million in Sacramento. So don't give me that no, it's hard to move people to Sacramento and stuff. It's an example and a reflection of a terrible ownership group.
I mean, listen to this, okay? Prior to Severino's 3 years, $67 million contract that he signed today, here are the 4 largest contracts in A's franchise history. Remember, they've been in Oakland. Eric Chavez, 6 years, $66 million, former third baseman. Yoenis Cespedes, 4 years, $36 million. Chris Davis, 2 years, $33.5 million. Trevor Cahill, 5 years, $30.5 million. Guys, that's like the most pathetic thing I have ever heard. How bad is that?
It's really, and then also, Steve, let's also say that Severino, a bit overpay, right? Like like you're spending all this money. We're saying it's the most in history, and it's also an overpay for a guy who did have a better season last year, but isn't necessarily having consistent years where he's dialing it up on the mound.
No, that's true. I mean, I just feel bad for A's fans because I always figured, look at the Padres, right? They were considered a cheap organization, and then they broke the bank years and years ago when they started bringing in some of their higher-priced talent like Eric Hosmer, and then they also had Myers, and then they went ahead with Machado and Tatis and just kept spending and spending and spending and spending. And they got themselves above that mark. I just can't imagine a team that up until today has never even been close to $100 million for one contract before.
Shouldn't own a team, man. It's not like you're going to sit at the same table as these other billionaires and say that you're doing a better job than them, because it's just not. It's not true. Like, these other owners out there are being creative, like the Dodgers, deferring money. Well, okay, if you can't afford it now, then afford it when you're in Vegas. You're going to be able to spend a lot of money when you make that move right there. So make the investment on some of these free agents now. Defer some of that money. Get creative instead of just saying, "Oh, let's just pay for Luis Severino right here."
Such a great point. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap things up and get you ready for Thursday Night Football right here with us. We're live Thursday, Speaking Rock, Main Bar, where we're hanging out with you. 600 ESPN El Paso.